Right there, welcome to my video where I'll be walking the Wolds Way. I feel like this is the first bit of freedom I've actually had since lockdown to go wandering for a few days. And I thought I hadn't explored enough of Yorkshire, what I wanted to do. So just thought this is the best place to start. I've seen quite a few videos based around the Wolds Way. And I mean, bloody hell, it's going to be hard, but I want to try and make something a little bit different to what other people have had. Maybe a bit of personal reflection. I think it's going to be a bit of a sort of like therapeutic experience after lockdown. So see where it goes.
What we're doing life. Echoes of eternity.
The Yorkshire Wolds Way National Trail stretches 79 miles or 127 kilometres from the Humber Bridge in Hessle, just outside my hometown of Hull, up to the coastal town of Farleigh. Since the Mesolithic period, around 10,000 BC, the land was inhabited by the nomadic hunter-gatherers of the time, who looked upon the land in a different way, both geographically and spiritually. Unfortunately, the terrain I'll be navigating through will not resemble much of what it once was, but whilst I'm out here, rather than looking through the eyes of our distant ancestors, I hope to reach deep within myself and find my place within its tranquil valleys and alluring wildlife. Today, I'll be making my way past the villages of North Ferriby, Melton, Welton, Brantingham and South Cave, through to the Drewton Wold area where I'll be resting up for the night. Day 2, I'll be carrying on through Goodmanham, Lonsbury, Nunburnholme, where I've arranged to resupply with a mate of mine. I'll be camping about a mile north of that village. I'll start day 3 by passing Kilnwick Percy. Sadly, I won't have time to stop by the hall, but I've visited the place before and I would 100% recommend it to anyone planning on making this trip in the future. From there, I'll be going to Millington, Uggate, Friday Thorpe, Thixondale, and stopping for the night before I hit my next location. The first place I'll arrive on day 4 will be the famous abandoned medieval village of Warren Percy, where I hope to spend a good bit of time. I'll be then moving on past Wintringham, where I've got a second resupply at East Esselton. I'll be staying my 4th night about a mile south of the village. On day 5, I'm going to start by heading east, passing Sherburn towards Ganton, where I'll have stepped into the mysterious Waldsnewton Triangle area, which I'll be pretty excited to talk about. Carrying on towards Stakston Wold, passing the infamous village of Flixton, heading north east of Hunmanby to my final night just before Muston, where I'll be celebrating my 33rd birthday. Day 6 will be a nice easy day, where I'll finish off at Farleigh. There's not going to be many miles to do on this day.
As I navigated my way through the woods and the villages, I already began reflecting on the sights around me. I got to this point and it dawned on me what a lot of people in Hull say. When I see the Humber Bridge in the distance, I know I'm home. To me, the Humber Bridge symbolises something completely different. When I see it on my way out of Hull, I feel the excitement of an adventure, like I'm stepping away from my reality into a dream. My feet and my body began aching after the first 8 miles. One thing getting me through all this was my daydreaming. There's a lot of interesting sights to see along the way. The problem is, I could spend a full day absorbing each one of them. I began to realise that I was running out of time and I needed to get a move on. Well, it's been a bloody hot one today. I really was not expecting this. I was expecting grey skies, a lot of wind, a cold bit of weather. And honestly, I do not know what I am bloody running on at the moment. But I'm almost at the end where the camp is. And I can see South Cave just now. So I'll be setting up and I'll talk to you in a sec. At this stage I was having a really bad day. And little did I know, I was really nowhere near the camp. During the first 5 miles I took a wrong turn, which led me almost 2 miles in the wrong direction. Not a good start at all. Even when I caught up, I was being really hard on myself, which led to more mistakes that eventually took away my morale. Well, I'm done for the day. I'm tucked into bed. I feel nice and snug. But after today, I feel quite disappointed actually, for quite a few reasons. First thing what happened was when I was walking up the River Humber, a lot of that was under construction works and there was nothing I could really do about that, but I was real gutted because I just kind of wanted to take some good decent shots and it just looked like crap because it's just under construction. It was all work being worked on. So, and then after that I was walking, I did about 5 miles I'd say, and then I realised I was going the wrong way, so I had to turn back, and it was like that really that felt awful. It felt as if like I've just done everything wrong, and after that it was just like everything that happened, everything that went bad, it feels as if it just sort of spawned from that. And I was just thinking, I just don't want to fucking do it anymore. I guess it's just the way it is. The walk itself, I really underestimated it because it was, I mean, I've never done anything remotely like it, so it's definitely not easy. I've got another 4 days worth of doing it. I got to the very end of it and I collapsed and I just couldn't walk any further. But what it was, where I finished, I was hoping to get a fire going for the night and set up in a little wooded area. But the problem was the wooded area, it was beech wood and it was all decaying. There was no way I could sleep in that because for a start, beech, it's got a nickname called the Widowmaker. So, and there's a good reason for that. It's because the branches just fall over just when they want. It's not good. So I had to, well, I set up actually right under 2 rotten trees, and then I just thought, and then I just looked and I just thought, what the fuck are you doing, you absolute maniac? So at this point I didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to move, I didn't want to budge, nothing. So
I had to pack up, and I just come a bit further up the hill, and I'm out in an open field now, just getting ready to go to sleep. But today I just feel as if I couldn't have done anything right, to be honest. But the thing is, tomorrow's another day, so we'll see how that goes. Right, good night.
Good morning. It's bright and early, and the less said about yesterday, the better. I got really annoyed. It just started off with one thing, and then it just sort of like led to another, and it just went from there. And it's like once you tend to wind yourself up. Once you do something wrong, you start to doubt yourself. Things just go downhill. So today's a new day, and let it be a good one. As you can see behind me, we're absolutely covered in fog, thick fog, and I like it actually. Can't see a single thing from the outside world. You can hear the cars, but I feel quite lonely out here.
As I waded through the thick cloudy wolds that morning, I felt such a deep connection with the land, almost like it was giving me instructions. In my mind, the fog symbolised a mental barrier, where everything within that barrier was relevant to my success. Everything outside of it needed to be ignored and forgotten. I had to remind myself to try and find the hidden meanings behind the physical obstructions.
The mist has gone, the hills have woken up, and everything's come back to life. It's absolutely beautiful out here. I've been walking through a load of valleys. Oh God, I wish the entire walk was just valleys, because I'm absolutely in love with them. And on talking about the mist earlier, I managed to walk past another tiny little arrow pointing me the right direction, and I nearly got lost. I was only about 20 metres out or something, but I was just stuck in the middle of a field with nothing around me except a tractor. I couldn't see nothing, so I just had to sort of double back on myself just to make sure I was in the right place. But I was only a few metres out. But today is a lot better than yesterday, a hell of a lot better.
This place was really beginning to come to life. As I hiked on, I observed the behaviour of the animals, which gave me vast insight into the infinite opportunities this place holds. It made me think about what made me come out here in the first place. It's a trip I've been talking about for a good 10 years at least with my mates. Although we had all the time in the world to organise something, we kept putting it off. I guess a part of it was that we was all just expecting someone else to arrange it for the rest of the party. But I'm a firm believer in destiny, that everything happens in perfect synchronicity, and no matter where we are, it's exactly where we're meant to be at that moment. It gave me the opportunity to document everything, and as you can see throughout the video, everything happened in perfect timing, including other people taking the opportunity to come out and meet up with me.
So I bumped into Chris Outdoors.
Hello.
This fan example of a Yorkshireman. And he's been kind enough to help me out a lot on this trip actually. As you can see, he's carrying half my kit. He likes it though, he absolutely loves carrying stuff. Exactly. We've how many miles do you reckon we've done?
We've done about, well, when I was at my home and was topping up your water in Goodmanham, we'd done, was it 7.77? So we've been looking about 8 miles up to here.
Unfortunately, Chris is going to be leaving us very soon, but if you want to find him, I will find you.
Chris Outdoors on all your usuals, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just search for Chris Outdoors and got plenty of content, and we're going to be working together through the summer and such.
Hopefully, yeah, we'll
Try and get our heads together when you're a bit less drained from a good day's hike.
When my body actually works again.
We've just got you some nice footage, haven't we, as well?
Oh yeah, he's been giving his hand on the drone as well. I'm looking forward to producing this one.
Oh, it'd be amazing. What an adventure, though, do you know?
Absolutely.
You might only do it once in your lifetime, you know. Once it's done, it's ticked off, isn't it?
I am doing it only once in my lifetime.
Your knees will only allow once in your lifetime.
Exactly. So, have a bit of more of a mooch, and then I should see thee later.
Nice seeing you guys. After all that time in good company, I really didn't want to say bye with Chris. One thing, I knew that I was going to be left with my own thoughts, which probably wasn't a good thing, but I really needed to press on. I headed on a little bit further, where I found a beautiful little spot which presented a little bit of a chance to explain something. I don't like pointing out the absolute obvious, but under an immense amount of pressure, self-doubt and anger, it does become hard to focus and prioritise.
I think one thing while we're here worth noting, and it's something that really got to me, actually it upset me, and it was just going without water. I made sure I had enough for during the day one, but it was a bit later on at night. I just hadn't really collected any, so I kind of had to do without for the night, and then about 6 miles in on the next day until I met Chris. But seeing as though this trip is all about learning, I decided that every time I'm near a water source, I'm just going to drink my drink off, whatever water I've got left, except for the reserve in the bag, and I'm just going to fill back up. So I've got plenty of water for the next 24 hours.
I later made it to the meeting point at Numbenham, where I was resupplied with food, water and some new clothes. My feet were in bits, but I made it on time regardless. At this stage, I feel like I was really beginning to adapt and overcome despite the discomfort. It began shaping into a mental war rather than physical. This is exactly what I was out here for.
You're right there. I'm at the end of day 2. I've got to be quiet. There was a bull in the field where I wanted to pitch up, so I've had to move a bit further on. But this is private land, and I'm really not meant to be here, so I'll be up and out early in the morning. But I just want to say today has been just so productive. Chris coming, being resupplied, just it's like everything has sort of like really worked out today, and mentally, oh god, I've been a lot more solid. Like everything that went wrong yesterday, every slight little thing, I was just kicking myself for it, and it was like today, I realised you can't do that. So I hope every other day is like today. So, anyway, it's going to be a quick one, so night. land yet, or trampled by a bull. So that's a good start to the day. Just woke up, it's like 6 in the morning, but I'm having to wait because my feet are looking a bit worse for wear. Blisters, stuff like that. Yeah, I've just got to let them dry now. I've just put some iodine on them, some plasters, just letting them dry now, putting a bit of talc on them, put my socks on, boots, and we're ready to go. But I'm just giving it a few, about 10 minutes or something, just for them to warm up, because I don't want to move.
Right, just woke up, ready to get a move on. I was camping about 2 metres that way, and I woke up this morning, and the white building over there is Kilnwick Percy, and it's an absolutely beautiful place. And I won't be going that way this morning, but if anyone is up here and you have the chance, I would highly recommend you go there. And the cakes are absolutely amazing. Over that way, you've got Stamford Bridge, which is the site of the most epic battles ever fought in British history from during the Viking period.
I was going to narrate a large amount of the Battle of Stamford Bridge, but I felt like I was going a little off track. But I would highly recommend that you research the Berserkers' final stand in that area. I must admit though, waking up realising where I was that morning gave me a massive boost. Those hills would have been packed full of forgotten tales of the world's most deadliest warriors that ever lived. Just walking around there makes you feel their energy.
So I'm just about to tackle one hell of a steep climb. I've known it was coming, but I've really not wanted to do it, but sort of like here it is. Before I do it, as I say again, my standard operating procedure now is to just take water from just wherever I can get it from, drink all that up, take water from wherever I can get it from. I'm just getting ready to tackle it now. I'm just sat at the bottom, and from here it don't really look that high, but I know when I was over there, like recording down, oh god, it looked terrifying. I'm going to take the short one, but it's the steepest one. There is another one, but I just want to take the steepest one and just get it over and done with for now. But I'm just going to give it 10 minutes. Just try and muster some berserker rage up. I think I'll record it actually going up. I'll embarrass myself.
This is the moment I began to develop some structure to my walk. For the last 2 days, I was going at it, trying to recover some lost time I'd spent recording. I originally planned a break time every 5 miles, but I plodded straight through that and only stopped when exhaustion started to kick in. I began taking breaks as originally planned, which led to a faster recovery. It's like the ghosts of the people who was walking these hills in the past was trying to communicate with me. I soon learned that there are times to attack, and there are times to reserve yourself and wait for the next attack.
No disrespect.
Somebody down there anyway.
Who's that?
Nah, they're in.
we're coming towards the end of day 3 and it has been absolutely scorching. It's like 22, 23 degrees. I don't know, but one thing I've learnt from that is the water situation. I need to constantly have, while I'm walking about, I need to constantly have at least 24 hours of water with me at all times, because the water situation is just absolutely scarce in a place like this. I've just come across an interesting little spiral circle loop thing. I kind of like that. I'll put a Google Earth thing up. Yep, so anyway, at the end of the day, we've got 3 miles left, and the 3 miles is bloody gonna be hard. Well, it's flat now at the moment, but I know it has been bloody hard the last 3 miles. But there again, I've been going uphill quite a bit for the last 3 miles on the last 2 days, but yep, still learning, still adapting, still developing. That's what it's about.
As the day starts coming to an end, I get to my camp a little early and then I realise something.
Alright, just a slight adjustment to today's trip. I was actually going to keep in these woods here, but I've just looked on the map and Warren Percy is like 2 miles away. So if I can get there just before nightfall, I can have a really nice bath. So I'll meet you there. I cannot actually believe this. I'm in a bit of a rush now because I can see Warren Percy and I'll be there before sunsets, which is in about 10-15 minutes. Oh, come here, you sexy beast. Look at that.
Yeah, anyway, I've had a bloody good day today. I've done 2.5 miles more than what I was supposed to, but I knew there was a big stream, so I can get as much water as I want. I can have a proper wash. Oh, I can sort myself out. And I got here in really good time actually. I got here before nightfall, so that's a bonus. But I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving my life out here. Brilliant. I've not heard anything political. I've not even thought anything about the news or political either, so which is a bonus. Getting away from mainstream crap on TV. I feel free. I'm absolutely loving it out here. But yep, onwards and upwards.
Good morning. I'm on day 4. I'm stood outside Warren Percy at the moment. It's probably one of the most famous spots on the entire walk actually, and for good reason. It's got a lot of history, so should we have a little look around? I'll have a bit of an history session as well.
This place is more commonly known as a medieval village. However, the archaeological research that had been conducted on this site from 1950 to 1990 suggests that this area was used from at least the Iron Age period of Britain. So out of over 3,000 medieval villages in England, Why is this the most famous one in Europe? In 1948, a professor from Leeds University, Maurice Beresford, came across this place and devoted the next 40 years of his life to excavating it. This site produced one of the biggest insights into medieval life, as it is home to one of the most extensively excavated settlements of that time period, where they unearthed a treasure trove of artefacts and the largest collection of human remains from the Middle Ages. But a brief history of Warren Percy. It was founded in around the 9th or 10th century AD, and from there people would have come and gone. The 12th to the 14th centuries would have seen a very short-lived pinnacle of its population. Walking through the streets in this now desolate place would have been a very different story back then. There would have been peasants all over the place, going about their daily business like an army of ants, attending livestock, small stalls selling their merchandise. The atmosphere would have been very much alive with the loud noises of the village folk and farm animals, pungent smells of waste and lingering manure that came with rural life. This place also saw its fair share of the Black Death, when in 1349 the plague took the life of the landowner, as well as 22 other villagers, creating a pretty steep decline in the slowly fading population. Finally, over the course of the late Middle Ages, the price of wool increased, causing the infamous landowner, Baron William Hilton, to evict the occupants, converting the land into pasture, leaving the place to very few residents until eventually the place became abandoned.
I think it's worth noting that the path I've just walked up dates back to the late Iron Age from 50 BC. And archaeologists say that all the land surrounding this area is pretty much the same as what the late Iron Age man would see with his own eyes.
All the time I've been walking through this challenge, I felt a deep sense of belonging. The more I adapt to overcome the physical discomforts laid on by the terrain, the closer I feel to the early people of Yorkshire.
Just come on my first break and just having a bit of a rest. And I have absolutely smashed the first 5 miles in today. And I'm actually 2 miles ahead of what I should be because of last night's. Also, last night it gave me enough time to organise absolutely everything. I had a shave, I washed my feet, I nursed the hell out of my feet and they feel much more comfortable now. I'm just looking at the top of here and it's absolutely it's beyond words. It's absolutely beautiful. Makes me think about all the hardships our previous generations went through. I mean, these bloody hills, climbing them, even with paths cut. It's insane. It really puts you into the lives of the people who we inherit the land off.
I've noticed that the aches and pains endured throughout my trip have seemed to hit a pinnacle, where they don't seem to be getting any more severe. My only problem has been my feet, namely my toes, which seem to be cutting in deeper and deeper. Slowly my body is readjusting itself to accommodate the pressure I'm putting onto it. I feel like my mind is also in a constant state of progression.
Now, this weather, it's almost like I prayed for it last night. For the last 3 days it's been scorching, I think between 19 and 22 degrees. And for somebody like me, that is scorching, especially walking. I love this weather. It's fine English weather, very typical of this country. And every generation of Yorkshiremen ever in existence would have been very used to this weather. So not only the layout of the landscape is relatively similar. Also, today, the weather is, and it's absolutely amazing weather for walking. 12 degrees.
For a lot of people watching this, you might have a completely different opinion on the weather, but right now this is making things much easier. Here we'll learn to take the rough with the smooth. As easy as the weather is making it for me, I can't help but feel a little concerned about the possibility of it raining. That would certainly make matters worse, but as I find out shortly, there are other issues on the horizon.
I've just come in from the footpath behind me and I bumped into another problem. It's another steep, and I really don't think I have got any more Viking Berserker juice to get me through this one. My energy is absolutely depleted. I think I'm going to give this one 10 minutes. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, bloody hell, that was at least 3 times higher than the other one. And you couldn't even see it on the GoPro because where it finished, it was even higher than that. Jesus fucking hell.
That was very hard work. Fortunately, I was able to take another break half a mile up the road, which brought me back to life. After my rest, I hit field after field, climbing higher and higher. It began to get very windy up at this point. It was here where I was meant to be getting resupplied, but with the wind chill factor, the temperature was beginning to drop down pretty low. I walked a mile downhill into East Esleton to escape the harsh gales and cold temperature. My supplies was running incredibly late, and contacting my mate was proving to be difficult. I was beginning to feel quite concerned. Eventually, he made it just before nightfall. I should have been set up by now. I had no idea what to do. I was in 2 minds whether to sleep in the church doorway and walk back up the hill in the morning, or try my luck getting up there at night. He drove me back up the steep hill, so I was back on track. By this time the wind had reduced a lot. I set up camp right on the footpath, where a thick tree line offered me complete protection of the wind. The night became still, and I got myself comfortable.
I cannot believe my luck. I'm absolutely loving my life out here at the moment. I ran into a bit of an issue with my supplies, and I didn't think it was going to be coming. So I thought I'd be suffering. And I don't mean with the supplies, and I mean like I thought I'd be like almost freezing to death. But things kind of worked out for the best. I'll probably explain later. I had a bath this morning. Oh, it was amazing. 3 days running up hills, did 45 miles, and I had a bath this morning. Well, actually, no, it was anything but amazing. It was fucking freezing, but the feeling afterwards was amazing. And this past 2 days, oh God, I can't. It's just turned upside down, absolutely turned upside down, and I've enjoyed every bloody second. I mean, I was in a bit of panic mode earlier on with the supplies, but things really turned out good, because I'm in a really good spot now, and I've got my I've got a mint hot chocolate ready to drink before I go to sleep, and I'm going to have a look up at the stars tonight. I think I can see every bloody star in the galaxy. So absolutely, what a good day. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Right, so packed up, ready to move on again. And this one's going to be my last stint, last long one anyway. And it's going to be a lot easier because Matty took a lot of heavy things that I'm not going to be using anymore last night when he resupplied me. It's been exhausting, and as much as I've wanted to get to this point, now I'm here, I don't want to finish it because it's just, I'm really loving it out here. I'm really feeling it. I'm really sort of like, it's, I don't know. It hits you on like an emotional level, and you just, I don't know. It's beyond words. It's beyond words. I don't want this journey to end.
This video would not be complete if I didn't add the local folklore. There is much a part of the land now as the landscape itself.
Right, so I've just walked past Ganton, where I took a break at the church, and it was the most beautiful one I've ever seen in my life. And I've stepped into the Wolds Newton Triangle, which is full of paranormal activity. It's a very ancient and very mysterious place around here. And if you're into paranormal research, I'd definitely recommend you check it out.
This whole stretch of land once belonged to the native Britons of the Mesolithic period, or the Middle Stone Age. Approximately 1 to 2 miles north of my location is home to the world's famous archaeological site of Star-Carr that was located on the edge of Lake Flixton, which was formed at the end of the last ice age. In this last 5 days, I've encountered some lush woodlands, streams and valleys that have been teeming with various species of life, from mushrooms and plants to insects and animals. Throughout history, these life forms have been tales around many a campfire, recited throughout the ages and passed on from grandparent to grandchild. But are these really just fairy tales, or is something else happening around here? During the excavations of Star-Carr, they come across 21 rhodea skull caps, along with the antlers. Crafted by the primitive tools they used in this area at the time, they designed them primarily to be worn on the head by the folk that inhabited this part of the country. It has been suggested by archaeologists that these Celtic headdresses could have been used as camouflage whilst hunting deer, or more likely as some sort of ritualistic practice. Perhaps both. Either way, I have no doubt that the hunter-gatherer who stalked these lands in the past was accompanied by some sort of shamanic presence. In the course of time around this land, there has been local tales of cryptids, spirits, missing people and mutilations, to name a few, spawning as far back as the Stone Age, right through the Roman invasion, past the Viking period, and they're still being reported even to this day, giving names to the local places like Hunmanby, which translates to Farmstead of the Hound Man.
Nothing around here, just hills. It's just so desolate, it's eerie. One place, if you want to be alone with your thoughts, come here because it's absolutely unreal. You tell what I'm not carrying, by the way. Lost my bloody hiking pole.
A story I recently come across was reported in early 2019 to a local author called Paul Sinclair from the Bempton Cliff Tops, around 8 miles southeast of where I'll be sleeping tonight. 2 ex-paratroopers from the British Armed Forces come up this way from Liverpool for a night of wild camping. Whilst walking in the darkness, they come across 2 large yellow eyes shining in the torches. They had no idea what they belonged to. They both jumped in fear, and as they did, they lost sight of the eyes. Soon after, they come up to a large fence where the path was leading. The atmosphere instantly changed around them. Everything grew silent, as even the wind stopped blowing. In front of them stood a large canine. The first impression they got was that the creature was a hyena, an animal not at all native to this country, or even this continent for that matter. It then rose to its back legs. The beast was standing at around 7 foot tall, its broad shoulders hunched out, with one of its long muscular arms crossing its stomach, gesturing with its fingers, a sort of a beckoning motion, whilst its big yellow eyes was fixed directly towards them. During their career, they'd been involved in a lot of confrontation, patrolling Bogside in Northern Ireland. They'd seen their share of terror in Iraq too, but this, they said, looked like it had been dragged straight out of hell. They were both frozen. They backed off and eventually turned and ran.
Well, that's not looking good up to now.
This was not the first time this thing had been seen. Stories like this had been around for centuries, thousands of years in fact. We know that thousands of years ago, old inns were being constructed that still have documents that state to protect travellers lest they be devoured. There are even old texts around that reference wolves and wild beasts that were infesting the land at the time. Now you've got to ask yourself, what sort of beast is either as bad or worse than a pack of wolves? As I treaded over the vastness of the wolds during the course of the last 5 days, and the times I've spent here previously, I've felt so in tune and connected with the very essence of the place. My mind has wandered throughout time, and I've tried to envision a world in which our ancestors could have lived in. It's led me to believe in the possibility that they could have been somewhat responsible for the mysterious happenings here, as the shamans of the Mesolithic period were attempting to imbue themselves with the energy of the animals they hunted or fell prey to. Did they open a gateway into another dimension, intentionally or otherwise? Did the Viking berserkers who wore the skins of slain beasts manage to channel enough fear to manifest real horrors into this world? There's even archaeological evidence from Warren Percy that sheds light on the efforts to resist the living dead in medieval England. Finally, after my last long day of wandering these hills and pondering over the energy belonging to this place, it started to become very windy as I neared Farley. The sea breeze turned pretty strong, but fortunately for me, I was able to take shelter for the night in a disused quarry only about 50 yards from my trail.
"5 days, 15 miles a day, doing the Yorkshire Wolds way. What have I learnt? Tons. Every second I've been out here, it's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. And a part of me, I don't even want to get past the finish line. It's not even about that. It's just about being out here. It's about living in the moment. The challenge just kind of give me an excuse to come out here, really. But it was absolutely a pleasure to do. I was talking to an old man earlier and he said, whatever therapy you get out of this, he said you'll be feasting on that for the rest of your life. I think he's right. I've absolutely loved it. And the paranormal activity and stuff like that out here, God, there is something in these hills. There is something. I don't know if it's evil or good or whatever, anything, but I've been feeling something like, and it's just, I don't know. It's amazing. The whole place, it's alive. It's fucking beautiful.
Sing me a song of a lad that is gone. Say, could that lad be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
This morning I woke up. I didn't really have anything to say in front of the camera, so I figured I'd narrate it later. I was cherishing every moment I spent in that quarry. I didn't want to leave it, but I still had to complete this challenge. So, a quick recap. Day 1, I was out of my depth. I realised how much I was at the mercy of nature, and I felt so vulnerable. My morale took a massive blow, and I was left physically beaten and mentally broken. I've never felt so much self-doubt in all my life, and when you're alone, it can either destroy you and make something of you. Day 2, I began to dive deep, looking for a way to get through this challenge before I give up. Every negative thought and emotion had to go out the window. I knew in my mind that there's no physical way of completing this challenge with that attitude I had. The mist surrounding me that morning symbolised the answer to my question. I needed to concentrate on what's in front of me and leave any irrelevant information where I can't see it. Day 3. Organisation was key to each successful day. The more order I had, the more efficiently I worked against time. I began to implement some strict rules. I began to learn more about myself, about my own strengths and weaknesses. I began to read the land like a book, exerting the amount of energy required at the right time. This stopped me from running out of fuel. Day 4, I began to feel an intimate connection with these hills. This is what it means to be human. The people that called this place home throughout the ages were shaped by the land. It gave them character and taught them things people can't really teach. Resilience, discipline, adaptation, and that's just to name a few. Day 5. For some days now, I've been walking these hills following a path I thought to be just physical. It's so far revealed to be a mental journey as well. My experience here has taught me that energy isn't only restricted to individual plants and animals, but it encompasses all areas as a collective. I'm on the last small stretch now, and it has to be said that not only I've walked over 75 miles, but I've transcended my own mental capabilities. Coming out here and removing simple distractions in my life has given me an edge. My body might feel absolutely broken and shattered, but mentally, I've never felt so recharged. Emotionally, I've gone through every phase there is, but now I feel nothing but pride and an infinite sense of achievement. I felt the essence of the Yorkshire Wolds, like a small part of it has merged itself with my own soul in exchange for an equal portion of my energy, which is going to echo throughout the Wolds endlessly through time. So now, I guess it's just one thing to do.